Hello and welcome to the 2021 Shanghai Auto Show. I'm standing right now next to a very exciting debut, the all-new ID.6 Cross. Now, before we get too far into this video, I want to explain that name a little bit. The ID.6 so far is a Chinese market only VW model. However, there are two versions, the ID.6 Cross and the ID.6X. The ID.6X and Cross are made by two separate joint venture companies here in China, VW and their local partner. I'm going to explain a little bit more of that later and show you the other version. However, I will say that the ID.6, if and more likely when it is exported to other markets, it will be exported in this version with this front end. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about the exterior styling. In reality, there isn't much new here. This is more or less the ID.4, the smaller compact SUV or hatchback kind of style car, just on a larger scale, including the all-new simple black and white VW badge, as well as the LED headlights here. Here we can see the side angle. Now, obviously, it's a little hard to see. There are a lot of people. It's a popular car here at the show, but I will tell you that it is 4.891 meters in length, nearly 5 meters, a very big car, and certainly much bigger than the ID.4. As you would imagine, that means it has much more space, which I will show you in just a moment when we take a look inside. One of the things I want to point out, and I will point out on the rear as well, is some of the uses of different colors on the outside. This is a very fetching orange color that I like very much, but it's accented by silver here on the door, as well as up here on the D pillar, as well as the roof line. Another thing I will point out, and it's hard to see because it's obviously too lit here, and these actually aren't lit, but there are lights embedded up here in the roof rails, which I found to be an interesting detail. Finally, before we take a look at the rear and then the inside, I will show you how the doors open. Instead of moving as a whole unit, they work much like modern rear door openings. So you simply touch, and there you are. Here on the back end, we can see the design is again very similar to that of the ID.4, with the only difference so far as I can tell, the size of course. And then here in the taillights, there is less of a obvious dip in the taillight. The ID.4 will be more down here, whereas this is a more subtle flowing line. Speaking of the taillights, I want to point out just how handsome they are with these individual IQ light, they call it, lit and LED panels. It's a very good look. The other detail I want to point out, of course, I mentioned on the side that there are different colors being used on the outside, but one of my favorite things, the favorite details, the white badges. I've simply never seen that before, or haven't seen it very often, and I think it's a very cool way to display the badge as opposed to having a body color or simple chrome or silver badge. While I'm back here, let's open up the rear. As you can see here, even with the third row up, the rear space is quite copious. Lift this up. This, of course, is where you have the cargo cover, which you can put up there when you lay down these seats. But overall, at least in terms of depth, an impressive amount for a 3-row SUV. Here we can get a look under the hood, as it were, of the ID.6 Cross. In the ID.6's case, there is no front storage compartment, which is a little bit disappointing, same as the ID.4. In terms of power, we do not have the exact numbers yet, but I'm told it will be very close to the ID.4 and have a rear-wheel drive single motor version and a dual motor version with all-wheel drive. Here on the inside, I guess I have to reiterate, this is a very popular car here at the show, but you can get a look at some of the interior features. It is pretty much the same as that of the ID.4. This is actually my first time beginning one of these cars, so the thing that strikes me the most, in addition to the 12-inch screen, which is decent size, is the shifter here, which seems to be a very interesting design that I've never seen before. Again, hopefully we'll give you a full review of this car later on and a more thorough look. Sitting in the back seat, I can give you a look at the 2+2+2 seating arrangement in this particular ID.6 Cross. There is a 7-seat version, which I imagine is 2+3+2 in the rear. But overall, based on the long, as I said, almost 4.9 meter length, this thing has plenty of leg room. Even if the seat were adjusted farther forward, as it is in this case, I would still have plenty of space. There is also, just for demonstrative purposes, let's see how the back seat is. Now, I definitely need to move this forward, but oh my, if I adjust, probably, yeah, this would be okay for someone maybe of my height, which is about 1.74 meters or about 5'9". I would be pretty tight, but this is probably going to be mostly used for children anyway, so it's sufficient. As I mentioned before, there are two versions of the ID.6 here in the Chinese market, each made by a separate joint venture company. The ID.6 Cross that we just looked at is from FAW Volkswagen, and this is the ID.6X. Now, the ID.6X is made by Shanghai Motor Corporation and VW's joint venture company, and it differs on the front end here because this is the Chinese market-only version. To reiterate, if the ID.6, or if and when the ID.6 is exported to other markets, it will be the ID.6 Cross version, not this one. However, it is interesting to see some of the differences in the front and rear end design for the ID.6X. Thank you so much for joining us in this quick look at the all-new ID.6 Cross and X from here in the Chinese market. Again, these are only for the Chinese market for now, but I have to imagine that the ID.6 Cross at least will be making its way to other shores not too far in the future. In the meantime, we're hoping to give you guys a test drive, so if you're interested in seeing that, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Thank you for watching.